A species so small they lived inside asteroids, sent one message to humanity. 7 words. We are dying. Can you help us? The human ambassador didn't call a committee. He didn't schedule meetings. He looked at the tiny hologram of a creature the size of his thumb and said one word back. Sure. 3 weeks later, humanity declared war on 3 separate star systems. But the truth behind this will shock you, because what happened next broke every rule the galaxy had followed for 10,000 years. The other empires didn't understand humans yet. They thought we were another prey species, another civilization that would bow down and follow the laws. They were wrong. Here's what nobody tells you about that war. First, humanity didn't just win. They rewrote the entire galactic legal system in the process. Second, the microspecies weren't asking humans to fight. They were asking for food. Humans decided war was the better option. And third, the real reason humanity got involved had nothing to do with mercy. I'll explain why in a moment. The Galactic Council tried to stop it. 27 species signed a petition. The Zelthorn Empire threatened sanctions. None of it mattered. One human looked at a dying civilization and made a choice that would change everything. This isn't a story about heroes. It's about what happens when you push the wrong species too far. When you make humans choose between following rules and doing what's right. Let me show you exactly how this happened. The Velik were everywhere and nowhere. That's what made them unique. They didn't colonize planets. They lived inside space rocks, asteroids, comets, anywhere with enough minerals to hollow out and call home. Each Velik was about 4 inches tall. Their entire population existed in scattered colonies across 12 sectors. For 800 years, they minded their own business. They traded rare minerals. They never bothered anyone. Then the Korthax combined found them. The Korthax were what you'd call industrial expansionists. They strip-mined entire systems. Their business model was simple. Find resources, take resources, move to the next system. They'd done it for centuries. The Galactic Council looked the other way because the Korthax paid taxes and followed most laws. When Korthax ships arrived in Velik space, they didn't see people. They saw inconvenient insects living inside valuable asteroids. The Velik tried to negotiate, offered to share, proposed partnership agreements. The Korthax response was 3 words: abandon or die. Here's the first surprise. The Velik actually tried abandoning. They packed up 17 colonies, moved to different asteroids. The Korthax followed them, claimed those rocks too. This happened 4 times. The second surprise. The Galactic Council said it was legal. See, the Velik never officially registered their colonies. They didn't file territorial claims. In galactic law, that meant the asteroids were unclaimed space. The Korthax had every right to mine them. Never mind that people lived there. The Velik filed complaints, presented evidence, showed holographic recordings of their homes being destroyed. The council reviewed everything. Took 8 months. Their decision: the Korthax combine operates within established legal parameters. That's when the Velik did something desperate. They sent messages to 70 species, every civilization they'd ever traded with. The message was simple: we are dying. Can you help us? 69 species said no, sent sympathetic responses, explained they couldn't interfere with legal Korthax operations, suggested the Velik hire lawyers, file more paperwork. One species answered differently. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 18 months earlier, still learning the rules, still figuring out how things worked. The human ambassador who received the message was a man named Jackson Torres. He watched the recording 3 times. Then he did something nobody expected. Now here's where things get really interesting. Jackson Torres didn't follow protocol. He was supposed to forward the message to Earth, let the diplomats discuss it, maybe form a committee. Instead, he sent a ship. Not a military ship. A cargo vessel, loaded with food, building materials, and medicine. The ship arrived at the largest Velik colony 5 days later. Captain Sarah Chen met with the colony leaders, listened to their story, looked at the mining schedules the Korthax had filed. Did some math. The numbers were brutal. The Korthax planned to mine 47 asteroids over the next 2 years. 31 of those asteroids had Velik colonies. Approximately 400,000 Velik would lose their homes. 14 colonies wouldn't have time to evacuate. Those populations would die. Captain Chen sent her report back to Torres, added one line at the end. These aren't rocks, they're neighborhoods. Here's what happened next. Torres called a human lawyer named David Kim, asked one question: can we claim the asteroids ourselves? Kim spent 16 hours reading galactic law, found something interesting, really interesting. The law said unclaimed asteroids belong to whoever filed first. But there was an exception. If a species could prove historical habitation, they could file retroactive claims. The catch? Another species had to file on their behalf. The Velik couldn't file for themselves, but humans could file for them. Plot twist. Galactic law had no definition for historical habitation, no minimum time requirement, no specific evidence needed. It was deliberately vague, created that way so the big empires could abuse it. Humans decided to abuse it right back. Torres filed territorial claims for 218 asteroids, every rock the Velik had ever lived in, every rock they might want to live in. He backdated the claims using Velik mining records. 800 years of history, all submitted in one massive legal filing. Cost of filing: 30,000 galactic credits, about $45,000. The Korthax lost their minds. They filed counterclaims, challenged the evidence, demanded the council reject the human filing. This is where it gets good. The council reviewed everything. Took 3 weeks. Their decision? The human claims were legal. Every single one. The Velik now had legal protection. The Korthax couldn't touch those asteroids. Not without violating galactic law. The same law they'd used to justify destroying Velik homes. Torres thought that would end it. Help the little guys. Beat the system with paperwork. Everyone goes home happy. He had no idea what he'd started, because the Korthax didn't back down. They hired a legal team, found a loophole, and humans learned their first major lesson about galactic law. The big empires didn't follow rules. They rewrote them. But if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear this. The loophole was elegant, brutal, perfectly legal. Galactic law said you couldn't mine claimed asteroids, but it didn't say you couldn't accidentally damage them. The Korthax filed new mining operations, right next to Velik asteroids, close enough that debris and collateral damage would be unavoidable. They were going to destroy the colonies anyway. Just call it an accident. The Velik panicked, sent another message to Torres. They're going to kill us. The law won't save us. Torres forwarded it to Earth. This time he added a recommendation. We need to do something. Fast. Earth's response came from an unexpected source. Not the diplomatic corps. Not the military. A man named Admiral Richard Cross. He ran humanity's frontier security fleet. 12 ships. Small by galactic standards. Cross read the situation and saw something everyone else missed. The Korthax weren't just bullying the Velik. They were testing humanity, seeing if humans would actually defend their territorial claims. If humans backed down now, every empire would know. Humanity's word meant nothing. Their claims were paper shields. Cross sent a message to the Korthax Combine. 5 sentences. The asteroids are human territory. Our allies live there. Any damage to those asteroids is an attack on humanity. We will respond accordingly. This is your only warning. The Korthax ignored it, started mining operations the next day. Here's what nobody knew about Admiral Cross. He'd spent 30 years in Earth's Navy, served in 4 different wars, fought pirates, smugglers, territorial disputes. He understood leverage, understood that in real conflicts the side willing to escalate usually wins. Cross moved his 12 ships into position, parked them between Korthax mining vessels and Velik asteroids, activated weapons systems, broadcast on open channels. You will not proceed. The Korthax CEO, a being named Vorthak, called it a bluff, ordered his ships forward, expected the humans to move. They were new to the galaxy, didn't understand the rules, wouldn't actually fight over some rocks. He was wrong. The first Korthax mining ship crossed the boundary. Human ships opened fire, not with missiles, with magnetic harpoons. They didn't destroy the Korthax vessel. They grabbed it, dragged it away from the asteroid field, dumped it 2 million kilometers away. The ship wasn't damaged, just humiliated. The second ship tried to go around. Humans caught that one too. Same treatment, grabbed and tossed. 17 Korthax ships tried to break through over the next 6 hours. None succeeded. The humans played catch and throw with multi-billion credit mining vessels. Vorthak escalated, called in the Korthax military fleet. 32 warships, heavy cruisers, battle carriers, ships designed to crack planets. They arrived in Velik space making threats, demanding the humans leave, warning that this was now a military. Admiral Cross responded with 2 words: come closer. Here's the thing about human military doctrine. We don't bluff. When a human admiral says he'll fight, he means it. When he parks his ships in front of an entire battle fleet, he's already calculated the odds, already decided the cost is worth it. The Korthax military commander, General Thrace, wasn't stupid. He saw 12 human ships facing 32 Korthax warships. Should have been an easy fight, but Thrace had done his research, studied human history, read about Earth's wars. Humanity didn't win by having better weapons, they won by refusing to quit. Thrace asked for instructions from Korthax High Command. The response shocked everyone. This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all.
Korthax High Command didn't tell Thrace to attack. They told him to wait, because something else was happening. Something the humans didn't know about. 2 other empires were watching this standoff, the Zelthorn Imperium and the Kraal Confederacy. Both had territorial disputes with humanity. Nothing serious yet, just competing claims on uncolonized worlds, standard galactic politics. But both empires saw an opportunity. If the Korthax destroyed the human fleet here, it would send a message. Humanity was weak. Their claims meant nothing. The Zelthorn and Kraal could push humans out of disputed territories, take what they wanted, so they made a deal with the Korthax. A secret alliance. They would bring their own fleets to Velik space, combine forces, crush the human ships, share the asteroid mining rights afterward. Simple, profitable, legal. The Zelthorn brought 40 ships, the Kraal brought 35. Together with the Korthax, that made 107 warships, all surrounding 12 human vessels. The math wasn't close. This wasn't a battle. It was an execution. Admiral Cross received the intelligence 6 hours before the Allied fleets arrived. His officers expected orders to retreat. Fighting 3 empires at once was suicide. Even humans had limits. Cross called Earth instead, spoke directly to the Security Council. The conversation lasted 4 minutes. Nobody knows exactly what was said, but the decision was made. Humanity wasn't leaving. Here's what Cross did next. He sent a message to the 3 empires. Not a threat, not a warning, an offer. Withdraw now. We'll forget this happened. Continue, and we declare war on all 3 of your governments. The 3 empires laughed. Literally. Vorthak sent a mocking response. You have 12 ships. We have 107. You're going to declare war. Cross replied immediately. Yes. And he did. Right there, in front of the entire galaxy. Admiral Richard Cross, acting with emergency authority from Earth's Security Council, officially declared war on the Korthax Combine, the Zelthorn Imperium, and the Kraal Confederacy. All 3, simultaneously. The Galactic Council lost their minds. 20 species filed emergency protests. Declaring war over asteroid mining rights was insane, disproportionate, possibly illegal. The Council demanded humanity withdraw the declaration, submit to mediation, follow proper diplomatic channels. Earth's response broke every expectation. the human ambassador to the Galactic Council, Elizabeth Wright, stood before the assembled species and said this: "The Velik asked for our help. We said yes. That means something to humans. We don't abandon people. We don't let bullies win because the paperwork says they can. You want to call it war? Fine. It's war." Then came the part that changed everything. Wright played a recording from Earth, 48 hours after Taurus first helped the Velik. The story went public on Earth. News outlets covered it. Social media exploded. Billions of humans learned about a tiny species being crushed by corporate greed, about how galactic law protected the powerful and ignored the weak. The public response was instant, overwhelming. Humans across Earth demanded action. Help them. Protect them. Don't let them die. 3 major governments pledged military support. Private companies offered ships. Volunteer crews signed up by the thousands. Within 1 week, humanity assembled a fleet, not 12 ships, 347. The Korthax, Zelthorn and Kraal suddenly faced very different odds. But here's the real twist. The fleet wasn't the scary part. What terrified the 3 empires was simpler than that. They'd studied human history now, all of it, every war, every conflict. They found one pattern that repeated forever. Humans never stop. Once they decide something is worth fighting for, they don't quit, don't surrender, don't back down. They escalate, adapt, outlast, win. So what does all this mean for us today? The war lasted 6 days, not because humanity crushed 3 empires in under a week, because the 3 empires surrendered before the shooting even started. The human fleet arrived in Velik space, took positions, waited. The Allied fleet of 107 ships jumped away 6 hours later. No battle, no casualties, just a mass retreat. Here's why that matters. The 3 empires didn't lose militarily. They lost psychologically. They ran the numbers, looked at human history, calculated the cost of fighting a species that treats war like a marathon, not a sprint. The Korthax did economic analysis. If they fought, humanity would target their mining operations, all of them, across every system. Even if the Korthax won the first battle, humans would keep coming, keep hitting them, turn it into a war of attrition. The Korthax would spend more money fighting than they'd ever make from those asteroids. The Zelthorn ran strategic simulations. Best case scenario, they'd defeat the human fleet. Then what? Earth had billions of people, massive industrial capacity. They'd build more ships, send more fleets. The Zelthorn couldn't occupy Earth, couldn't invade it, couldn't make humanity stop. The war would drag on for decades. The Kraal looked at the cultural aspect. Humans had declared war over a species they'd met 2 months ago, over asteroids, because they made a promise. That kind of conviction was dangerous, irrational. You can't negotiate with it, can't predict it, can't plan for it. All 3 empires reached the same conclusion. Winning this war wasn't worth the cost. They proposed terms: immediate withdrawal from Velik space, recognition of all human territorial claims, reparations paid to the Velik people, full apology, everything humanity demanded. They gave it all without firing a shot. The Galactic Council was stunned. In 10,000 years of galactic history, nobody had ever seen 3 empires surrender to a species that joined the community 18 months ago. The political implications spread like fire. Smaller species started filing their own territorial claims, following humanity's example, using the same legal loopholes. Suddenly the big empires couldn't just take what they wanted. The rules had changed. But here's what this really means for you, for us. This story isn't just about space politics. It's about what happens when someone decides rules are meant to protect people, not punish them. When someone looks at an unjust system and says, no, we're not doing this anymore. Jackson Torres didn't defeat 3 empires. He just refused to accept that following rules was more important than helping people who needed it. Admiral Cross didn't win a war. He made it clear that humanity's word meant something, that promises matter more than convenience. The Velik survived because humans treated them like they mattered, not as a political strategy, not for economic gain, because it was the right thing to do.
That simplicity scared the galaxy more than any weapon. Today, galactic law is different. There are protections for small species now, requirements that empires prove territories are actually uninhabited before mining them, appeal processes, safeguards, all created after what became known as the Velik incident. The big empires hate it. They had a system that worked for them for thousands of years. Humanity broke it in 6 days, didn't even need to fight, just showed up and refused to follow rules designed to hurt people. That's the lesson here. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is care when everyone else decided caring costs too much. Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know.
Remember when I said humanity didn't get involved because of mercy? That the real reason was something else. Here's the truth. Jackson Torres had a daughter, Elena, 8 years old, born with a rare genetic condition. She needed constant medical care, specialized treatments. She lived in what was basically a mobile medical facility. Her entire world was one small room, filled with machines keeping her alive. Torres understood what it meant to be small, vulnerable, dependent on others for survival, to live in a space the size of an asteroid, and hope nobody decided you weren't worth protecting. When he saw that message from the Velik, he didn't see a diplomatic opportunity. He saw Elena, saw what would happen if people in power decided her life wasn't worth the inconvenience of helping her. He never told anyone this, never mentioned it in reports, just made a choice based on something simple: empathy, the kind that comes from personal pain. Admiral Cross had his own reason. His grandfather survived a genocide on Earth, ethnic cleansing, 2 million people killed while other nations watched, filed paperwork, held meetings, did nothing until it was too late. Cross grew up hearing those stories, grew up asking why nobody helped. When the Korthax threatened the Velik, Cross saw history repeating: different species, different weapons, same excuse: it's not our problem. The law says we can't interfere. We're sorry, but our hands are tied. Cross decided his hands weren't tied. Not anymore. This is why the story matters beyond space politics and galactic law. These weren't heroes. They were people who'd seen what happens when good intentions meet convenient excuses, when systems prioritize order over justice, when following rules matters more than saving lives. The Velik survived because 2 humans decided their own pain meant something, could prevent someone else's pain. That's not mercy, it's recognition, seeing yourself in someone else's suffering, and refusing to look away. The galaxy learned something unexpected about humanity that day. We're not the strongest species, not the smartest, not the richest, but we remember what it's like to be weak, to be the small ones asking for help, to watch the powerful decide we don't matter. That memory makes us dangerous. Not because we're violent, because we refuse to become the thing that hurt us. We choose differently, even when it's expensive, even when it's inconvenient, even when it means going to war with 3 empires over people we just met. The Velik built a monument after the war. Small thing, fits in your hand. It shows a human and a Velik standing together. The inscription is 7 words, the same 7 words that started everything. We are dying. Can you help us? And underneath, 1 word in response, the word that changed the galaxy: sure. If this opened your eyes, let's recap what just happened here. A species the size of your thumb asked humanity for help. Instead of committees and paperwork, 1 human sent supplies. Instead of accepting legal excuses for genocide, 1 admiral parked his ships in front of an entire battle fleet. Humanity declared war on 3 empires simultaneously, and 1 without firing a shot. All because 2 people refused to let rules matter more than lives. The galaxy has never been the same since. Here's what I want you to do. Hit that subscribe button if you want more stories about humanity breaking expectations, about the moments when we choose to be better than the systems around us. This channel covers the real reasons humans are different, not because we're special, because we remember what it's like to suffer. Drop a like if this story got you.
If it reminded you that sometimes the most powerful response to injustice is just refusing to participate in it. One human said sure, and changed everything. But here's the deeper call to action. This story is fiction, science fiction, but the lesson is real. How many times do we see injustice and think that's terrible, but what can I do? How often do we accept that rules are rules, even when they hurt people? Jackson Torres had no authority to start this. He just decided that helping mattered more than waiting for permission. Admiral Cross faced impossible odds. He just decided that standing up was worth the risk. You have that same choice. Every day. Maybe not about galactic empires, about the smaller things. The person being bullied at work. The unfair policy everyone complains about but nobody challenges. The friend who needs help but everyone's too busy to offer. What would happen if you said sure? What would change if you decided rules that hurt people aren't worth following? Think about it, then do something about it. Now if you want to see what happened next in human galactic history, check out the video I'm dropping next week. It's about the time humanity rewrote the Galactic Council's charter. Spoiler alert, 27 species tried to stop it. Humanity did it anyway. You'll want to see how. Leave a comment and tell me this. If you were Jackson Torres receiving that message from the Velik, what would you have done? Would you follow protocol or break the rules? Be honest. I want to know what you'd risk for someone you just met. Thanks for watching. Thanks for caring about stories where humans choose right over easy. That matters. You matter. And remember, sometimes changing the galaxy starts with one word. Sure. I'll see you in the next one.